Hello everyone, this is Linkmas Prime and welcome to my final full review of 2023 until the next year, and today we're taking a look at the Playmates toys Godzilla Kong the New Empire pre-evolution Godzilla. Now this figure is pretty much just the regular Godzilla vs. Kong Godzilla, but with a few differences. Most of those differences are mainly to do with the dorsal spines, the legs, and the tail, but the overall base body is pretty much exactly the same. Now, when I'm talking about the dorsal spines, there's nothing new when it comes to the mold. All that's new is pretty much just the fact that these are painted and not clear blue, and I actually really like the way that this looks. Now, when it comes to the legs, I actually did think that the legs came from the Godzilla with fighter jet, but that's actually not the case because I compared them. These are actually a lot skinnier, and the other thing too is the fact that there's actually something extra with these legs that'll show off in a bit. I did actually talk about that in my unboxing, but I will get into that later on in this review. Now the tail is actually a different mold compared to the previous Godzilla vs. Kong figures, because this one is actually a different shape and a different sculpt as well. What I mean by that is that this actually has an S curve, which most of the tails didn't actually have. But when it comes to everything else, it's pretty much the same, and it looks great in my opinion. Now, one thing that is a little bit on the disappointing side is the fact that there isn't any dry brushing on this particular sculpt, which is a little bit disappointing, but not a huge deal. I mean, if you want to do that yourself, you can, but they didn't really do that on this figure like they did with the Godzilla vs. Kong toys, so that is a bit of a disappointment. But overall, everything about this figure is pretty nice in my opinion, and I will say that I do prefer this over the original GVK Godzilla. But kind of moving in on the detail, it's pretty much the same again. I mean, we get the basic kind of goofy looking face. It is a little bit crooked on mine. I've tried to fix the job, but unfortunately it's just kind of but yeah, with the eyes, I mean, painted blue, black dot for the pupil in the eye, painted teeth, painted tongue, pretty much all the same there. Nothing much new. When it comes to the sculpt, very nice sculpt work. It does get a little bit lost considering that it is a smaller figure, so the sculpt work isn't going to be amazing on this. I mean, it is a $10 toy after all, so I'm not going to be really complaining about that much. But yeah, so pretty nice in my opinion. We do get paint for the nails on the fingers and for the claws, and it's pretty much the same paint that we got on the previous GVK Godzillas. Now, I just gotta say, the paint work for the dorsal spines on this looks amazing in my opinion. I do wish it could have reached to these smaller dorsal spines right here, but not a huge deal. But I love the blue highlights kind of around the area of the dorsal spines, kind of fading into a black, just kind of give it that nice glow effect. I think that works perfectly. We get that same effect going down the rest of the tail, except mostly kind of stops right here, but again, not a huge deal, but it does look very nice in my opinion. But yeah, so anyways, going over the articulation now, one thing that I do wish is the fact that this still has this cut right here, which you would assume there would be a head swivel, and it looks like there is, but that's just soft plastic, kind of shaped as a square inside of that, so you don't really get a head swivel, but you do get an opening jaw, which opens about that wide, rotation at the arms, which does go all the way around like so. Legs can move forward and back that much, like so, and we do have swivels in the feet, which is a very nice inclusion. I'm glad that they're including a lot more articulation on these guys. And last but not least, there is a ball joint in the tail that can go all the way around, up, down, left, right, all that kind of stuff. So when it comes to articulation, it's pretty much the same. Of course, 2 new additions, which we didn't get on previous GVK figures, but it is very nice. Now, another cool feature that we do get on this is actually a battle damage feature, and this is the only figure in the line of GXK toys that carries this specific feature. Because none of the other newer GXK figures have this anymore, unfortunately. I thought that this was a cool little inclusion. It's a cool little play feature. It looks a little stupid, I will say that, but it's something. But we don't get that anymore, and we just kind of pop that back on there. But you do have that same feature carried over from GVK. Now, for a comparison, I do want to take a look at how this looks like compared to the old Godzilla vs. Kong Playmates figure. Now, as you can see, there are some differences. Of course, there's the black, the same painted teeth with the same kind of paint color. This is a little bit lighter on this one, it's a little bit darker on that one, but overall pretty much the same figures. This one has a dry brush effect, while this one does not. Different legs. I do think that the legs on this look a lot better than they do on this. Just this long, elongated leg just kind of looks awkward to me. This one is fine, I guess, but still just and of course the tails. The tail on this is fine, but the tail on this is a lot better in my opinion. I just prefer the curve over just the, it looks like he's just dragging it around with him, but not a huge deal. I do like the way that the clear looks on this, but at the same time it just cuts off in this awkward manner, and I just prefer the faded look that this has over that. And while it isn't clear, it doesn't have any essence of clear plastic whatsoever, it's still not a big deal to me. I still think that this looks a lot better, but overall the only thing that this could have benefited from was the dry brushing that this has, and I think that would have made it a lot more perfect in my opinion. But yeah, now the other comparison I want to make is that these two do come with accessories. So this is the atomic breath piece that came with this guy right here. As you can see, it has a clear, or it has an opening right here, and the other thing too is it's a bit flexible. It's a lot more bendable, all that kind of stuff, and of course you just kind of fit it inside of the mouth with that little hole on the inside, and it does work the same on this one, and you can incorporate this atomic breath piece into this Godzilla. But here is the new atomic breath that we get with the GXK Godzilla, and this looks a lot better in my opinion, because I do like the more closed-ended look for this. It looks a lot more breathy. There's a lot more of a better sculpt to this in my opinion than there is on this, and it does pretty much work the exact same, but the coloring, and I will say the material as well, is different. So we do have a darker blue, and not just that, but it's actually a lot harder. It's definitely a lot more of a more durable plastic than this is, so that does make it a little bit better in my opinion, because I've noticed that over time when these are in the mouths of your figures, they just kind of droop down because the plastic is just flexible. This I don't think will. I mean, of course it probably will over time, but I haven't noticed anything like that. But of course, you just kind of open up the mouth, pop it in there like so, and there's that. One other thing I do want to mention is the fact that the legs on this guy are a lot looser, and that they definitely did a lot of a better job of tightening the joints on these new GXK figures. So just open up the mouth, pop that in there, and yeah, I definitely got to say that this one just works a lot better than the old, in my opinion. I do still like the old. It's just, I think that this one has a lot more to it than this guy does, and just the overall look of the atomic breath in the mouth just works better with this figure. But when it comes to comparisons, I mean, that's pretty much about it when it comes to these two. Now for my final comments on this figure, I do have to say that this is definitely an improvement over the past GVK figures. I mean, I love the new sculpt for the tail. I love the new leg designs with, like, you can swivel the feet. I do wish that they can at least incorporate a knee bend. I'm, noticing that they're incorporating a little bit more articulation into their figures, and I just wish that they could have done more than just give it like ankle pivots, and that's really about it. But I mean, same figure overall, still a nice sculpt in my opinion. They didn't really need to change anything for the base body because that was already good to begin with, but the tail, the legs, and the atomic breath, and especially with the paint on the dorsal spines, are huge improvements in my opinion, and I think that they're doing a great job with this line. And but yeah, now this figure did cost about $10, so if you can find it for at Walmart, definitely get it there, because scalpers are going nuts over these figures. Those prices already on eBay are ridiculous. I think I found this figure on eBay for about $65, so yeah, definitely avoid the scalpers. And if you can wait till your stores finally stock them in, because they are stocking, these are appearing primarily within the more west coast to south regions of the United States so far. So if you live in those areas and you have a Walmart that's nearby, don't hesitate to check it out because they might have something. You never know. But hey, yeah, and great figure overall. Highly recommend it. Just make sure you buy it for 10 bucks. There you go. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much about it for this review. And thank you all for an amazing 2023. I really appreciate you guys, a bunch. The fact that I started out in 2022 with only like 500 subscribers, I've grown. I've tripled that number. I've quadrupled that number. And I'm about to hit. I'm actually about to hit 5,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. All of that just within a year is insane. So I thank you guys so much for an absolutely awesome year. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for watching. And I hope you guys had a great 2023. I know it wasn't the best year. The 2020s have been kind of a hellhole, if you know what I mean. But we have each other. That's all that matters. And I can't wait to see you guys in 2024. So anyways, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.